All right, I want you to do a quick gut check with me. If you stopped reminding and prompting your husband today, how much would still actually get done? If your answer is not much, then this episode is for you. Hi, friend. Welcome back to the Supported Wife Society podcast. I'm Lemon Price. And around here, I help high achieving wives retire from being in charge at home without losing their standards or their spark. We rebuild partnership, we restore respect, and we make space for attraction to thrive. I firmly believe that respect is foreplay and that when we are operating in our feminine, that is stronger than when we operate in our masculine. So you do not need, some fancy program to try what I'm teaching you today. I'm going to give you some exact steps. If you do want a little bit more hand holding, though, Supportive Wife Society does have a bunch of plug and play tools and a community that you can join literally for $100. Or if you pick Klarna or Affirm, you can literally actually just pick your own payment plan. The link is in the show notes for you. So be sure to check that out. So today I want to talk about why your husband doesn't seem to take initiative and then 3 really simple ways to change it. There is no husband bashing around here. We're not doing some like weird psychology stuff, just some very simple shifts that work in real homes like mine and yours. So the first thing that happens here is that the initiative stalls. And most of you listening, right, you're very capable people. You run teams, businesses, you volunteer for projects, you're in all these different group chats. Oh my gosh, the school emails and calendars and the Remind app or Dojo, whatever you're on, you literally just became this household CEO because someone sort of had to be. And over time, that becomes the default rhythm at home. And so you think faster, you decide quicker, and you care also about the details. So, of course, you jump in first. However, here's the catch. Initiative grows with opportunity, not instruction. And so if you're always first to answer or to plan and then fix, your husband never gets the reps to build that confidence. And if they don't get the reps, then they're going to hesitate. And so hesitation looks like, well, he never takes initiative when really the system never invited him to. And here's the thing. And I've said this probably a million times and I'm going to keep saying it, but chances are your husband didn't start this way. If you are high achieving, which I assume you are if you listen to this podcast, then you wouldn't have married somebody who doesn't take initiative. I knew for me that was like a struggle. Every person that I dated before my husband told me I was too intimidating or like I had too much ambition, I wanted too much. I wanted, I was too much. Maybe you've heard that. You're too much. You're intimidating. You're too much. And then I met Glenn and he was like, no, it's perfect. And then he lets me like sink back into my feminine and I don't have to operate from my masculine because I'm not too much. He just takes the initiative and I trust him to take the initiative. And so here's the thing. Your chances are if you're like me, then your husband was the same way. He took initiative before the kid, right? He was handling things, he was making plans and you were so attracted to him or you would not have married him, right? And so what happens is over time we erode that polarity and then we're like, why doesn't he take initiative anymore? Why do I find, why am I not so into him anymore? Why are we not intimate anymore? That's why, right? It's because you unintentionally have created a system where he's not invited to lead anymore. And then you also have a mental load problem. And so the mental load is not just yours. I will preach this from the rooftops, but it is remembering, it is forecasting, it is deciding things, it's worrying about things. So it's the teacher emails, it's the dog vaccine, it's birthday gifts, it's the emotional temperature of the house, and these 10,000 tiny decisions that make a week function. So if your load is invisible and you've never clearly handed pieces of it to him, he cannot take initiative on what he can't see. And I say clearly because so many times I talk to women and they're like, I like hinted or, gave him subtle reminders or, well, I said I was stressed or something and he didn't take initiative. I'm sorry, he is not a mind reader, right? And so if you're making 10,000 tiny decisions and a lot of them are on a subconscious level, I train about this in the Supportive Wife Society, but we make 35,000 decisions a day. And obviously, most of them are going to be subconscious. And so I say all that to say, like, how can he help if he doesn't know what decision you need help with? How can he step in and support you if he doesn't know what you need help? And then the other reason he's not really taking initiative is that our instinct to help can actually choke initiative. So I actually dropped some training on this today inside of the Supportive Wife Society that was in depth. We did this. But correcting in the moment, hovering, redoing, teasing, even that lands like a critique is not going to help. It will not build confidence. I mean, just think about it. Would you be able to build confidence under constant correction, under constant critique? If somebody was constantly hovering around you and making a joke or teasing you about the way you do something? Of course not. Right? Your husband's the same way. He's going to build the confidence under trust plus the follow through. Right? So if he only hears what went wrong, he's going to avoid doing it again. And it's not because he's weak, but because it's human nature to avoid an environment where you cannot win. So no, you're not like crazy. He's not broken. This is not like unfixable. You're just in a pattern and patterns can change. And so before we get super practical here, I want to give you two quick kind of reframes here. So the first one is that letting him lead in places, right, does not mean you're lowering your standards. You get to keep the standard, but you change the method, right? So you stop being first, right? You just start being clear about outcomes and then being patient with the process. And then the second thing is that magnetism beats management. So polarity returns when respect returns. Your home shifts from logistics to partnership when you stop mothering a competent adult and start trusting your competent partner. It's not blind trust, right? But it is generous and it is clear. You picked this person. You married this person. You have to trust them. You have to trust them. So, how are we going to change this? How are we going to get out of this pattern that we're in? So, first thing, and this is what I do with every single person who comes into Supported Wife Society. I want you to see and name the mental load, right? You cannot hand over what you have not named. So, tonight, tomorrow, do a mental load audit. Set a 20-minute timer. Write down every tab that you're carrying in your brain. This is not just dishes and drop off. I want you to think about it in categories. So, what in the people category, are we thinking about our kids, extended family, our pets, our carpool tax, work, business? Like, what are you thinking? For the house, is it subscriptions, repairs, grocery, filters? Like, I buy them in 3-pack. And I set a reminder on my phone to remember to order them every 3 months. Is it the trash reminder? That was something I used to do. I used to have a like calendar invite for my husband with the trash. So that way he could handle it, but it was like on both of our calendars. So if he was ever not home or like whatever, then I would get the reminder and then I could send one of the kids to do it. It really wasn't a big deal, but it was something that was off of my plate. So are you thinking about money? Are you thinking about the auto pay? Are you budgeting receipts, birthday gifts? Are you, I don't know if you're like me. I have a spreadsheet and I track when we are getting paid and then what bills get paid out of that paycheck. So I just know what is in, what's out, because obviously the bill dates always stay the same, but the paycheck dates change. Glenn gets paid biweekly. So his paycheck dates like change. And so therefore what comes out in a certain time frame is different every single month. And so that's something I think about. Maybe it's the calendar. So school event, appointments, travel planning, holidays, right? We're coming up on Thanksgiving and Christmas. For us, November and December is extra busy because it's also the youngest birthday and it's our wedding anniversary. So our wedding anniversary is 3 days after Christmas. The youngest birthday is like around Thanksgiving. I won't say his exact birthday, but it's around Thanksgiving. And so, like, we're also planning birthday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and our anniversary all at the same time, all while school events are going on. Just got an email this morning from one of the kids' teachers about dress code for an event that they have. And there's just always something kind of going on. So, is that on your to do list? And then also think about the emotional stuff, right? So, reading the room, your family culture, initiating difficult conversation. I want you to circle the 2 items when you do this that drain you the most. Those are going to be your first handovers. And so here's some quick thing you could say to your spouse, right? Hey, listen, managing the budget actually stresses me out. I hate sitting down to do it. Is that something you'd be willing to just manage for the next 30 days? I'll give you everything that you need to kind of do it. I'm not going to swoop in and take over, but can you just manage that for me for 30 days? And here's the thing, a note on ownership. Ownership means end to end. So if he picks like, I'll take over Christmas shopping, He also tracks, when the birthday is. He orders, he wraps, he gets the car signed. If he picks dinner one night a week, it means he decides the menu, he shops, he cooks, he cleans, like whatever it is. Like that's his plan. You do not assign some subtasks. You're going to release the whole thing. And so here's the thing. The first week you do this, there's going to be questions. There's going to be double checking. There's going to be a little awkwardness. That is normal. You are transferring invisible data that has only lived in your head. So answer questions kindly and briefly and then step back. Okay. If you like templates, Supported Wife Society members have this exact audit worksheet inside of the portal. You can do it with a blank page, but I do a whole training on how to really do this, categorize it, and then I teach you how to hand it off, which is what I want to talk about next. So how do we hand things off? So for the next 7 days, I want you to add a 2-second pause before you answer, decide, or fix, and then pass the moment. So it could be what do you think? Would you make the plan? I trust your call. Will you take the lead on this one? If the kids come to you, right, they ask a question, pause and say, your dad's got this. And here's the thing, this is going to feel really small, but it's not. In long-term relationships, we fall into muscle memory. So your muscle memory may be to jump in. And so you're creating in this tiny little wedge to let new leadership form. And so again, first 1 or 3 days going to feel clunky. Around day 4, you're going to notice that maybe he starts to answer first, or he takes the phone to book something. The reps are what builds confidence, and then confidence builds initiative. So what I don't want you to do during this week, do not rescue the silence. I want you to let him think. Don't correct in the moment unless safety is at stake, which I do a deep training on inside of Supported Wife Society on what that looks like if it is a high stakes situation, if it's a safety thing. I will teach you how to do that. Do not follow up with, well, I would have done it this way. I want you to save feedback for a neutral time and keep it outcome based. If it's simply that you don't like the way he did it, but the outcome was the same, leave it alone. Again, if you want a list of prompts and a deeper training on this, Supported Wife Society has it, okay? But you could start with these kind of things, and I promise you will still be golden. Okay, then we're going to do some low stakes handover with celebration. So you're going to pick one recurring low risk rhythm that he can own end to end for 30 days. So it could be dinner a specific night. It could be the activity on the weekend. It could be the Sunday night bedtime routine, which you and I both know that means also making sure permission slips are signed and that the backpack's cleared out and all those things are done. That could be his thing. Trash and recycling, the weekly family calendar, the dogs, whatever it is. I want you to set the container for 30 days and he owns the setup and the follow through, and then you're going to celebrate the effort. I love how you handled that. Thanks for taking that off my plate. I noticed you set reminders. It made the week so much easier. I felt so cared for and seen when you took that and ran with it. I want you to praise the effort, not perfection. You are training a new culture at home. And culture changes when celebration becomes the loudest sound. And so over the next 30 days, right, he's going to have a win under his belt. And so initiative is going to feel less risky. Maybe he starts volunteering for the next thing because winning felt good. You feel less resentful because your brain finally got to rest in one category. Okay. I want to take a quick pause. If you want this week to feel lighter, then I promise you, Supported Wife Society has step-by-step tools that will match today's episode. You'll get the mental load audit. You will get my exact language swaps. You'll get this handover plan. You'll get all of it, and you can literally join for just $100. Plug it into your life right now, okay? You could just go either to the show notes or go to lemonprice.co/join-SWS. Okay, now here's what I want you to do. Stop doing for 7 days, okay? There's 3 things we're going to retire while you reset. So 1, backseat fixing. If it is safe and good enough, then let it be. The towels will, still be there. They're still going to dry your body, even if they're folded differently. I want you to get rid of sneaky sarcasm, right? So teasing that lands like your critique will kill momentum. Save jokes for wins, not for wobbles. And then number 3, calendar hoarding. So if he owns it, right, share the login, the reminder system, the notes, and then step back. Don't just withhold stuff so he fails. Okay. If you catch yourself slipping, I want you to say, thank you for taking this. I'm stepping back. So, just as a quick recap here, right? Initiative stalls when the mental load is invisible, and the quickest person always goes first, right? So, what we're going to do this week is we're going to name what we're carrying, we're going to pass something off, and then we're going to celebrate. I want you to keep the standard, but change the method because magnetism beats management every single time. Now, you can run with everything that I gave you today. If you want the companion tools, join Supported Wife Society, where you get all of these extra tools. The link is in the show notes. I would love for you to be there and hang out with us. We do Q&A calls every Thursday, so you can come and get support for your marriage in real time, whatever you're kind of working through, and you get all that support for a year. So come and join our fun little party. If this was helpful, share it with somebody because I guarantee that one of your friends would like it if their spouse took initiative over the next 30 days, especially as we move into the holiday season. Okay, so thank you so much for listening to Supported Wife Society. If this episode helped, seriously, send it to a friend. Please leave a 5-star review. It would just bring me a lot of joy if you did that. It helps more women just find this work. And I will see you all next week. Toodaloo, friends.